Yeah, so I love fairy in every form I come across it in nature, in music, in stories, and on its rare film appearances.
Well, our childhood would have been like your heyday because Disney
Yeah,
would take fairy stories and make them into animations. They
yeah,
they would change them dramatically.
yeah, yeah.
But,
I
and
feel
make them
like
make too much sense.
they cut down
well,
all the
well,
journeys.
well, now they're even ruining them further with their live actions, where
Oh
they're
yeah. Oh,
explaining everything to the point where
Uh,
there's no mystery, there's no fairy left.
yeah.
They remove the fairy soul of all the fairy tales.
I haven't seen the Little Mermaid live action. So please, if you've
I,
seen
I've
it,
I've
I'm gonna
I've given
go.
up on all the live action
I
ones. I watched a few when they started the trend, and uh, yeah, it's disheartening.
Yeah, it is super it's super discouraging. I remember when they came out with Snow White and the Huntsman, and I was like, okay, that was not great. But it was something different. It wasn't
Yeah,
Snow White.
it was a
It
cool
wasn't
idea,
it was yeah,
but like the
exactly.
premise,
And I
it was a
thought it
fun
was
premise.
I thought it was really I thought it was interesting because we're going into a completely different world with crazy fantasy creatures, and Snow White has like more magical powers than just like whistling and or singing and talking to animals and stuff. So I was like, oh,
Which is
that's
pretty serious when you think about it.
yes,
But
of course, yeah,
I would love
she
to
just
talk to
did in the
animals. My
Disney version.
goodness.
She just didn't use that power to its full extent. It's continue. She could have like talked to a bull and been like, go gore the witch. Just
right, exactly.
but anyway,
But she didn't have that kind of heart. But anyway, but yeah, so I thought that
indeed,
I was like,
indeed.
oh, that's interesting direction. They're taking a new look at it, which is cool. That's fine. But then they did like I don't remember if it was Beauty and the Beast that was the first one or if it was Jungle Book or whatever, but it was like almost shot for shot, really poorly redone movie, just live action and bad CG. And I was like, well, that sucked. Like there's no there was no magic to it like in the animation. Like the animated film, I remember I was very, very young when I first saw that, and it blew me away. And I was like so frightened that the beast was going to destroy Belle and like all this, like it had all the emotions for me.
Definitely a favorite,
Oh, and I thought
Yeah.
Belle was beautiful, and I'm like, oh my
right?
gosh, and then like I watched the live action, I'm like, this does not have magic, and the singing wasn't nearly as good, and then Jungle Book was the same way. I was like, this
And
is
some of the
almost
singing
like
was good. Some of the
so
singing was good.
sure,
I want to say
sure,
that,
but it
but
but it didn't have that magic.
somehow they managed to be really good without the heart. I don't know how. How do
Yeah.
you even achieve that? Like there was a lot of artistic excellence, but just as a it was revolving around a void instead of the heart.
Because they didn't invest in the creative aspect of it. They invested in it was a money grab instead of a creative
Yeah.
endeavor. Like they weren't breaking any creative ground. It was just like, hey, this made us money. If we do a live action, we're going to make a ton of money from it. And so then they started going on, continuing on, and now they're like even more further away from creativity. It's more just money, diversity. That's their big thing, and it's not about the actual story or the actual meaning from the old stories that hold a lot of meaning. And so I feel like it's creative bankruptcy to gain money. So
Mhm.
they sell their soul of creativity for a buck, and that is really sad.
Mhm.
Especially if you are, an actor or a, you know, cinematographer, someone who comes in and thinking, I love this character, I love this world, I want to see what I can add to it. And they come in genuinely wanting to do that and believing maybe I can contribute to something.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that at least 90% of the people who are working on these films actually mean to create something beautiful and meaningful and something that's going to add to the story rather than just somehow eliminating everything about the story that works. And it's very sad to realize that like one, maybe a handful of people are basically just saying, here are all your shots.
Yeah.
I have this great idea. Here are all your shots.
Well, there are definitely stories from behind the scenes with like Marvel films now where they're
Hmm.
not even like the director's coming in and they're not having any kind of creative say. They're just there as a figurehead,
Hmm.
and it's already decided like here's the shot, here's the script, like just shoot it like this. Just be done. This is how you're doing this film. And it's like
Oh.
where like you're signing on for what? Like as a director, you're supposed to be putting your interpretation of the script forward, not what somebody else is telling you to do. And then you have no say in it. It's more the producers who have all the say. That's so backwards because the producers should have a completely different mindset than a director. The director has one mindset, and the producer's mindset should be that the director's vision is being on the screen.
Be facilitative, yeah.
Yes, and I feel like it's flipped. Like nowadays, especially with big budget films, indie films, you can still find some great directors who are like pushing, and then you have like you have Christopher Nolan, and he has complete control because he's a name. He has a name,
Yeah.
so he can do whatever the heck he wants, and it's not a perfect piece of art, but at least he's trying to put something on the screen that means something and is creative and whatever. So, I just went on a long rant. I'm sorry.
We went on a long